sitting there across from him. What am I supposed to talk about? I'm not an expert in esotericism. I'm a fitness trainer, a children's yoga instructor. I write books. I underwent a heart surgery in my sleep, in my dream, during which I was awake and I could see and feel everything that was happening. I was literally lying on the bed and I could see myself from above.
Can you explain that?
No, I just realized that something was happening to me right then. The soul wants to leave this body, and the body gives in, meaning it does what the soul wants to do. Their tears flow like rivers because in that moment they realize that your form, your physical body, is the last stage.
It is a consequence of the mind.
It is the consequence.
When I return and get off the plane in Bulgaria, what was your first thought?
I just thanked God I made it home. That was it. I just wanted to get home alive and safe. Nothing else mattered. And he said, "Why are you so worried? Why are you in such a hurry?" I stopped. As I was chasing the plane, I stopped and heard what he was saying to me, but I said, "I'm going to miss the plane to Miami. I'm going to a competition that I've been preparing for months and I can't afford to miss it." He looked at me and said, "I'm going to see my sick parents, whom I don't know if I'll ever see again."
Hello, I'm Stoyan Valkov, and this is Reality Investigators. Today my guest is Anita Markova, someone you know from the television screen. Mother of 3 children, founder of Fitmama, she's called the fitness queen of the world. With several published books, she's already ahead of me by 3 or 4. And she's here too, for the first time, to open up more deeply. In one of the most popular shows in Bulgaria about spirituality, about exploring deeper reality, about what we represent. Thank you for joining us and agreeing to this impromptu meeting.
I thank you for the opportunity to be here.
What brought you to us? Isn't everything you do enough for you? Isn't it?
Thank you. I thank you. Here it's something very different. Here it's a space where Anita sits. Not Fitmama, not the coach everyone knows, but me.
I thank you for what you're saying, and that's very powerful. I myself am constantly learning how to be even more authentic. And as a result of all this, why do you think it has happened in your life that people know more about one side? Who is Anita?
Anita is a child with boundless dreams who loves to make them come true. That's how my life turned out, which I actually planned myself. I wanted them to know Fitmama, and quite often people would meet me both online and in person. They called me Fitmama but didn't know my real name.
Did that bother you or not?
I felt like I was hiding behind it. I had created an image that I wanted to be like a walking inspiration, to help people, to show them that we can become what we want to be if we follow a few small rules along the way. But somehow, this real Anita, the emotional one, the sincere one who loves to talk about spirituality, who delves into these depths, and actually through them she creates, and actually through spirituality, I created FIT, and its process is the opposite.
Yes, how did you create it?
I was going through a very difficult period since I had just given birth to my first child. Constantly carrying him in my arms, breastfeeding around the clock, not sleeping with him. That.
How old were you when this happened?
Well, I was 27 now. I'm about to turn 37.
Okay, all right.
And actually, one night I was sitting there and my hand was writing, "Mom, fit, mom." That's how I created it. I wanted to help women who are in the same situation as me, discouraged, searching for their way back to themselves. You want them to improve themselves, but you can't find the way. That was my mission.
It was back then?
Then she grows, she grows, she grows. Because back then I was thinking about how to help them physically, to look good, to see this body of Fitmama, the champion, and to say to themselves, wow, I want to be like her. Now today, I help them first to be healthy in their minds, because that's where everything starts. The spirit needs to be strong so that we can achieve, create, and shape the physique we want to have.
Hello, if you want to get even closer to us, you can now do it through our INRA store, which is now active and launched. You can find our INRA mugs there. The principles of Canava, of Hermes, of life, the 5 laws of existence. Valya's course Unlock Your Voice, as well as my debut book A Touch of Reality, which is coming very soon. You can find them on our website shopinra.bg down in the description. You can get even closer to this vibration, add it to your space to remind yourself every day of the power you carry within you. That you don't need to do anything because everything you need is already available and already within you. Thank you. Still, for people who don't know you, could you briefly give them some clarity about your story? I know that's a separate topic, but still, just briefly, introduce them to where you started and what you're actually doing right now. Thank you.
You're taking me back 20 years even more, to when I was a very insecure, sad, lonely child, living in a world that felt hostile. I grew up in a family of very ordinary people, very hardworking, extremely hardworking. Since what year? Gorna Orjahovica, Velika Turmaskija region. My mother worked until 10 at night. My father worked at 5 different places to provide food at home so I wouldn't feel deprived of anything. My father was an extremely disciplined, strict man, stern, who wanted to teach me a lot, wanted to make me a hero. Sometimes I was just a servant, but I became a warrior. Back then, however, to me he was an enemy. I felt attacked by him. I felt pressured. So that he became the reason for me to change myself. And to this day, he is my best friend.
Do you understand? Yes, that's it. This is serious business. When did you realize that this was a challenge?
Well, I was about 20. I was having terrible nightmares. I had several suicide attempts that nobody knows about.
You're saying it for the first time now? Yes.
I'm saying it for the first time now. My journey has been very long and very conscious.
We're not in a hurry, so yes.
Very heavy nightmares. Then I would wake up feeling my blood draining, how I'm dressed in very tight clothes. I can't move. I want to move, but I can't. I'm suffocating with my father in the same way. Very heavy things, and at one point I just realized that I couldn't live anymore. Basically, back then at school, I felt completely rejected. Ugly nicknames, Every day I went there and wondered whether I should be good or bad, because I didn't know what to expect.
And which kind of girl were you at school? Were you one of those in a separate group, joining a clique and bullying other girls? Or were you more the one being bullied by those groups?
I was lost, not accepted, and I tended to isolate myself. It was hard for me to feel accepted anywhere. I couldn't join a specific group and say, okay, I feel like I belong here. I was just like a lone wolf inside, even though I'm actually an extroverted person. But back then, my reality was different. After that, my parents got divorced. That's how life turned out. I became a student at University of National and World Economy. And again, I couldn't fit in. I dreamed of movies and music.
Yes.
When I was a student, I took lessons for 5 years, acting classes. I studied, I sang, I danced in a group. I was really a super artistic child. I trained in athletics. Sports have always been a part of my life, but you know, being an actress doesn't pay the bills. Those were different times back then. No one talked about how we create our own reality, and that actually, what we dream about, we can make happen. But that's how it happened. So I entered UNSS with serious eating problems. That's when it started. I could barely eat anything. spontaneous fainting spells. It was very hard. Yes, it was very hard. After that, I met the father of my children. I gave birth to my first child. Things started to fall into place. I had to somehow take care of another life now, not just myself. And then you realize that you have an extremely big responsibility.
What was the exact moment along this journey when something happened? Actually, was it a different kind of intervention that pushed you aside? Someone, something invisible told you, time, wake up. Yes, or did something happen in your life that made you start seeing life from a different angle? Yes.
I went through something in my sleep.
In my sleep?
In my sleep, a heart surgery where I was awake and I could see and feel everything that was happening in my dream. But the dream was so real that I woke up shaking as if I had just been operated on. After that, spontaneous outpourings from my body began.
If I was around 20 years old?
Yes, during that same period with the nightmares, with that reality I was living in, that's when the spontaneous out-of-body experiences began. I was literally lying on the bed and I could see myself from above.
Did you have any explanation for that at the time?
No, I just realized that something was happening to me at that moment. It's like the soul wants to leave this body and the body betrays it. I mean, it does what the soul wants to do. And at one point I started reading a lot, reading Eckhart Tolle, John Kehoe, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, You Can Do Anything, The Secret, The Power of Gratitude. Robin Sharma.
Yes.
I was assembling the puzzle, arranging it from there.
I started
To start practicing, I was still in that reality. I still felt out of place, and I started every night to literally reprogram my mind.
How did Anita start back then? We're all curious about that. What exactly did you do?
At night, I would lie down. Yes, I would close my eyes.
And what would you tell yourself?
I don't tell myself anything. I just see it. I imagine that I had the dream childhood. The best father in the world that could ever exist. The best mother in the world that could ever exist. That I live in a fairy tale. That I am happy. That I have a happy childhood. That I am making my dreams come true. I saw all of this in my mind every single night, but I didn't believe in it at all.
How did you deal with the fact that your idea, your image of an artificial world wasn't real?
I knew I was working against myself.
But what made you trust that it works?
I felt it. I was so at the bottom. I could see the bottom. You know? I had no other choice. I either had to end it or I had to change something. I didn't know how. I didn't know what would happen. I just trusted. I didn't have any mentors, anyone to tell me, to support me. Doing this was just an absolutely intuitive process. It's really cool.
That it happened this way. This actually happens in parallel. You also have a career, which back then, before
everything here, I'm telling you exactly. I'm a student. I've graduated from school.
And back then, did you share all these interesting pursuits with anyone, or did you keep them to yourself?
With someone, there was no one to share. It didn't even cross my mind to share. Actually, it was a very strong internal process. You know, I used to tremble at the word can. For me, it was scary even to say it, let alone believe that I could do something. Do you understand to what extent I was disheartened? And I started writing it down on sheets of paper. I read books, I see evidence, I see that this works, and I want to help myself. Actually, my interest in this topic was triggered by my desire to live. Truly, to live, to really live, to live authentically, to be myself and to feel life, and not to live every day in fear and worry. What will happen?
And what people will say?
And what people will say?
How do they overcome that, what people will say? Someone comes and tells you, well, she's a big deal, standing there pretending to be a coach. Yes.
But, you know, our energy is where our focus is. Me turn. If I pay attention to what's happening on the side, I lose energy and I can't create what I want. I can't walk my own path. I'm being distracted. If 1,000 people are here, they'll have 1,000 opinions. Should I listen to all of them? Subscribe. Actually, I can hear them, I can, but my filter is very strong. Because everyone in our lives teaches us something.
Yes.
These mirrors, wonderful. Tell me now.
How do you understand this concept of mirrors? How can I not care in entrepreneur motivational language, not care what others think about me, and on a deeper level? Everything is my mirror, and I learn from everyone.
When you have removed your ego to such an extent that you can tolerate criticism, even if that criticism is hidden criticism. You see a person in front of you who opposes you in some way or insults you. And actually, then the thought immediately comes to me, okay, where am I insulting myself? Am I doing this to someone else? But this comes at a stage when my ego is not so big so that I can self-criticize. Even while before I used to see people as enemies, or rather as people who insulted me, I would get offended.
You get offended?
I used to get offended because I didn't realize that actually this might be something I do to someone else or to myself. And this person just showed up to show it to me. That's how I feel, and I tend to keep people around me who somehow provoke something in me. Until I understand what it is.
And when you understand,
Let go.
yes, the question here is, how does this develop in your story? Your first child was born, and then what happened? You have a career, you've achieved quite a bit of success for yourself and for the world. During all this time, on another level, you carry this knowledge with you. How do you develop it further? How do you become the version of yourself that you are now?
So after giving birth to my first child, but I had already started using positive affirmations more and more every day.
He wasn't suitable. Chevalici.
No.
No, that's from the same era. Yes.
Okay, fine. I used to write on pieces of paper. I succeed. Things I want to believe in. I would write them down and stick them up. Also at the seminar, when you said it, I laughed because that's exactly what you said. I recognized myself and it reminded me of that. Every morning, every evening, wherever I go, in the bathroom mirror next to my nightstand, notes with information that I want to instill in myself. At first I didn't believe in it, I didn't feel it, I didn't sense that I could, that I had the ability to make anything come true in my life. Daily positive affirmations, meditation every morning. Back then it was still very hard for me. Now, every morning, even when I wake up, I realize that I'm awake, but I consciously keep myself in a state of semi-wakefulness. To keep sleeping.
And then in my dream, being aware.
I am aware in my dream. Yes, quite often I ask before I fall asleep what you ask. Every day, ordinary, normal things. Recently, I was part of an event. For children, we organized it in Devon, where I was leading a yoga practice for kids. I work with over 80 children, and it was important for me to be precise, for everything to go according to plan. And simply. In my sleep, before I fell asleep, I asked, tomorrow, how will it go, right? How? The question started, what will happen? I fall asleep and wake up in the morning and realize my dream. I'm flying on a plane. It's full of people, yes, and I know the plane is delayed, but in the end it lands on time. And everyone is very happy. I go to the event, and what happens? Everything is delayed. They're behind schedule, the set isn't ready, the microphones, something, aren't working. And I go to the organizer and say, relax, we'll be on time.
Yes.
And she says, how do you know? Everything will be fine. Well, things like that.
You trust yourself?
I just trust I'm in the flow, but that's the result of daily actions.
I want you to tell me about all the people who only know Fitmama, about all the people who are interested in proper nutrition, but that's as far as they've gotten. For all the people who sit, scroll on Facebook, want to lose weight, follow comments, follow diets, follow things as they come out. to all these people, and not just them, not just these people, everyone. And at some point you start talking about lucid dreams, you start talking about meditation, and deep meditation at that. About the fact that we emit energy, and what we emit, we attract. That's how the universe works. Tell me about this second part. Let's dive deep into it. What you've understood so far from all of this.
Well, actually, those who know Fitmama think that this is achieved, and it's achieved through proper nutrition and hard training. But that's actually the result in order to become the image they see. A mother who has given birth to 3 children looking in great shape. But actually, the origin, the root, for this thing to happen, I first saw it in my mind.
That's where the power is. That's it.
And to all the people I work with who tell me, motivate me, I need to, I want to achieve what you have achieved. And actually, I start talking about the thought process, about the mental attitude. For example, the Silva method uses 2 mirrors in a great practice. I'm not sure if you know about it. Can you tell me about one?
Tell me about it.
The first mirror, we see ourselves now, like in this mirror, I see the shape I'm in, I see the clothes I'm wearing, everything. And in another mirror, I see the person I want to be. Confident, achieving her goals with ease, in perfect shape, taking good care of her children. Because that's a very important part of the journey. I sense my own fragrance, the one I'm wearing, my skin, my hair, even how it looks. You feel this thing. Through the feeling, you give energy to that image and you step into it and you step into it. And it's a matter of actions for it to manifest in the physical world. And actually, since I started doing retreats last year, Gnomi was the first retreat in Greece where I gather women who want to change themselves.
Okay.
The same thing happens in the gym. When they come to me for a consultation, they think we're going to talk about nutrition and workouts.
That's why I asked you this question.
Yes, but when I start talking about what you and I are discussing, you know what happens.
What happens?
Their tears flow like rivers. Because at that moment, they realize that your form, your physical body, is the final stage.
It's the result of thought, the consequence.
And actually, first they need to believe, and in this case, to do something for themselves, for that soul that longs for something. Because those extra kilos, they are the result of something else, of some other kind of lack.
What do you attribute this to? What do you often tell them when you see someone who is overweight with excess weight?
Very often they have blocked emotions, things held inside themselves, which they accumulate in the form of weight or have burdened themselves with something heavy. A lot of work and responsibilities.
Which are not theirs.
That's exactly what it is, taking on other people's responsibilities. They become like extra weight, a burden you carry.
So, let me emphasize again for the people who are hearing this right now. What shows up as excess weight and a lot of extra pounds is actually the result of heavy, suppressed thoughts, dishonest relationships, and communication that's been held back for years. Yes, exactly. And this gets channeled and the physical body shows it.
Absolutely, it materializes and they keep creating, but unconsciously, a reality they don't want to be in.
You told me that even our meeting today, you created it and manifested it. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, I've watched a lot of your shows for a long time.
Because we've been having a debate here with our people for years.
Man, I can't even describe it to you. I'm just the kind of person who's watched so many shows and I keep thinking, okay, this is like déjà vu, I've already experienced it.
Let's compare your past experiences to what's happening now. There is a difference.
There's always a difference. So I tell myself, okay, sitting there across from him, what am I going to talk about? I'm not an expert in esotericism. I develop as I'm a fitness trainer, a children's yoga instructor. I write books, nothing to do with...
In this show, I'm not called a researcher of esotericism. You're right.
But that's how it was for me.
No, thank you. I'm just adding yes.
That's how it was for me.
People who think, about the test specialists, yes.
Yes, and I was thinking, what am I going to talk about sitting there? I need to be prepared. For him to invite me, I need to know what for, but what happened?
These are the brain's initial thoughts.
The first thoughts, which are again beliefs, created beliefs. But despite everything, I sent out the impulse and it happened. Because at the beginning, when I started this change in my thinking pattern, it took a lot of effort for me to do practices in order to reach a certain level. But when you get into this flow, you start manifesting from now to just a little while later.
So, do you agree with the idea that things happen easily?
Very much. And maybe I've been learning this for the past half year. I kept repeating it since we spend our lives learning.
Yes, yes. How do you keep repeating it to yourself all the time?
For example, what I was doing with the Tesla 369 method. Yes, 3 times in the morning I write. I receive everything with ease and pleasure, 6 times at noon, 9 times in the evening, for several days until I feel it.
That it is established with ease, easily.
Easily, yes. I eliminated the heavy words from my vocabulary. The filtering there is very strict for the words I use, for the people I communicate with. Because I became very sensitive about when I raise my vibrations, when I lower them, very sensitive. And if I feel that I'm lowering them.
Tell me a moment when you feel that you're lowering them.
For example, I'm talking to someone negative who starts to complain.
Something happens. How are you breathing in that moment?
Hey, I just feel that he's complaining. And for a moment I enter that reality because you share everything and I say a word that's anti-Anita. Oh yes, that's terrible. And immediately, even in the moment as I'm saying it, it's unsettling. And then I need some time to ground myself, or I go splash some water on my face. When I leave that meeting, I close my eyes. It could be a very short meditation, just for a brief moment, but I need something to reset me. Or I start singing a song.
Something cheerful to instantly lift my spirits.
Something switches me off, because with music and meditation, I disconnect in order to return to myself. Because if I don't do it, a slight buildup starts and I can feel it. Because now I'll talk to someone who will say something to me, then something else will happen. And it creates a tendency to drift into another reality.
Yes, you get stuck. Just like we can switch so quickly, if you think about it, what you're saying has a huge logical path. Because as quickly as we can switch to this version of ourselves, we can just as quickly switch to the other one. In other words, the speed is very fast. The speed of thought is, as modern researchers say, much faster than the speed of light. Can you imagine? Many times faster. Click, it popped up there. Subscribe.
Thought flows so quickly that words can't always keep up, even though my mind is very sharp. Everything is accelerated, and I foresee. And actually, I need it. I deliberately slow down.
What are you slowing down? The rhythm?
Yes, because I tend to, this quick thinking makes me fast in everyday life, in my actions.
So, on the contrary, you need to learn to slow down.
Exactly. Yes, and actually when I slow down, I get to where I want to go much faster.
That's very helpful what you're saying. Yes.
And I picked up on that because I've always rushed from one commitment to another. My daily life is very dynamic.
Tell me about one of your days before you had these realizations, and one of your days now.
One day before I had these realizations, that means I was about 20 years old.
Yes.
A student, I go home, lectures, I study at home, I study at the university.
Do you go to nightclubs?
Very rarely. I couldn't really enjoy life.
Even then, I didn't really enjoy life.
I didn't really enjoy life, and even then it wasn't my rare moment. Yes, and when I compare it to now, back then in my mind it was very hard and very difficult.
And now, what is a day like for you?
Do you travel now?
Kids, responsibilities.
3 wonderful kids. I work with over 80 children in yoga practices in 4 kindergartens. I have a gym in Devon where I lead workouts, and I travel 3 times a week to Smolyan where I also lead workouts. Meanwhile, the household chores at home are waiting. And in the meantime, I write when I feel inspired. My third book.
Social media content. Do you do that?
I do, yes. I have an online store, dietary supplements.
So, when we learn to slow down, at some point in the physical world, we actually do so much. I asked you. That's intentional because I think it's nice to show viewers and listeners exactly that. Because I'm exactly the same way right now. For example, at the moment I'm also writing. The first book is about to be published. Right now I'm filming a wonderful podcast. We're also creating short content separately. At the moment I'm in a challenge where I film videos every day. I travel. I'm in the construction phase of a project, a house. And at the same time, I have other investments and things that require my attention. I'm planning ahead, creating, sometimes writing, trying to work out and play tennis, personal life, family, and so on. So the more free we are, the more things we do, but somehow, exactly because we're free, it doesn't bother us, it even makes us happy.
It energizes, it just energizes, and you get into the flow. It happens, and it happens very quickly. A lot of people around me wonder how I manage. It's like living 3 lives in one.
You just said a moment ago that you live.
Yes, 2 lives for me, they are really separated into 2 because I was a completely different person.
And now, are they mixing together? I mean, will they become one whole experience?
I accept this Nita, this disheartened child. She is there, she existed. It's just that now she knows what she wants, she knows who she is.
You've gone through different schools, let's call them that. Will you tell me about them besides the personal books and personalities whom you and I have also read, like Robin Sharma? I often say that these personalities are that you don't need to know your people, the ones you...
This is a sentence. I've written them.
Because you can learn from them remotely. The fact that they are not in front of you doesn't mean you can't learn from them.
Through the art they left behind.
Absolutely, yes. Besides them, what else have you come across through the Silva method? When did you discover it?
2 years ago. Shambhala. I am a 2nd level master healer. With the Mahatma energy, which is a combination of 12 rays golden energy, through which we become a channel for divine light.
How does Shambhala work?
It is healing energy for now used only on your children and on yourself, but every morning a column of light is activated like a pillar. Yes, it is also a kind of protection, but it makes you part of the flow.
That is, it brings you focus and gives you stability.
Yes, exactly, because you ground it mentally, you ground the energy through your feet and actually open upwards toward the light way up. You become like a conductor, because what are we? Conductors.
What are we? I don't know. You'll tell me. A conductor.
That's how I feel. Yes, to light, to goodness, to whatever one chooses.
To whatever one chooses.
Whatever one chooses.
How do you manage to teach your children about everything you've been through?
By example. I might not be able to tell them anything, even though I talk a lot at home. They need someone to talk to, they're very young, but I inspire them a lot with my personal example. I motivate them, and I encourage even the smallest success. Bravo.
You can do it?
You can...
The little fights?
Yes, that's where it starts, because otherwise it's just no, don't.
There isn't.
You can't. It's like there's no trust, and that's enough. They are very easily programmed right now, and the parent is the first thing they come into contact with, the parental environment. The environment is extremely important. It shapes their worldview at the moment. Even though they are very intuitive and they know very well what to do, and quite often they teach me too.
How do they teach you, for example? Tell me about a specific case.
They teach me a lot about patience. Patience is, I'm an Aries, fire, risk, I rush. Everything has to happen very quickly, right away. But 3 kids are a challenge, and I set this challenge for myself. I wanted to go through it. For example, in the evening they fall asleep around 9. I try to have them in bed by then. But what happens?
Is this some universal plan for it to happen so predictably every time?
I put them to bed, but then it's an hour and a half of talking, singing, sitting in the dark and being quiet. That's just for one Aries. You know what it's like to be locked in a cage. You want to break everything, but you can't. And you have to keep that calm and show them that they need to sleep. And it's challenging.
What would you say to all the parents right now who don't have this approach and blame their children from a young age? To look at themselves first?
There is a saying, don't worry about what your children will become, they will become exactly like you. We are walking examples. They may not say a single word to their child, but they can be what they want their children to see and what they want their children to become. Reproaches and punishments would only push children away from the place where we want to show them, to get them to work on themselves. That's what they should do.
And how did you handle the parenting environment at first?
What do you mean about the children?
Meaning, while you were walking your children in a stroller, there were other mothers around.
I see everything from the side, but I'm narrow-minded.
But in your own way.
Yes, I sense everything.
It didn't bother you, you didn't get offended, you didn't notice glances, things like that.
No, but you learn that. When I was little, it was completely different, absolutely. For me, it was very important what was happening around me. I wanted to be, even though it was still a mask, because I was a vulnerable child. But I showed confidence confidently.
And now it's real confidence, yes.
Which has been built. That's what I'm saying. My last book will be self-made. I don't know when I'll write it. Maybe at 70 or 80, I don't know. But yes.
Actually, you have how many books? 2. And now the third one is coming out.
I'm writing it and it will
come out very soon. Yes, as you write it, yes. What is your desire to do with these books? Why did you decide to start writing a book?
I want to leave traces that will help. If someone had told me all this years ago, everything I'm sharing now, how much pain I would have spared myself, oh God, right? And now I remember when I was very little, it was as if one sentence echoed in my head. I have the power to destroy the whole world and create it anew. And I was very anxious to share it because it spoke in my head and I didn't want people to think I was too arrogant. Until the moment came when I realized that I really had destroyed one world and created another, my own world.
Do you understand how we explain this, how we bring it down to earth? What does this actually mean? You destroyed one world and created your own. You moved into another reality. You created the reality you actually wanted through your own essence. Sometimes is it necessary, even if at first it seems like pretending, just so we can build a habit of smiling more, believing in ourselves more, because in the beginning, for the brain, it really does seem like pretending.
Mind manipulation. The mind can be trained, mine is well trained. Dracoda. I just created the reality that makes me feel good, in which I live well. And it is the result of actions, because at first we really pretend. I was afraid to say I can and to write it, because I couldn't even say it out loud, but my hand was trembling as I wrote it. I didn't believe in it. I have pages written, I keep my notebooks, writing in them 100, 200 times a day, and my tears just fall as I write. To such an extent of disbelief.
Until at one point it just became a part of you.
At one point it blends so much you become that person very imperceptibly. Until the moment comes when I start talking telepathically with someone, and honestly I just laugh. I'll tell you a story. Go ahead. I'm traveling in the car and I'm about to graduate because I'm a children's nutritionist. And I studied together with a very close friend of mine, Michaela. And what happens? I'm turning over a thought in my head about what we're going to wear tonight at the graduation so that we match each other. The two of us are going. I want us to be dressed alike. My phone rings. It's her. And the thought hasn't finished. Mikhaila, Anichka, what are we going to wear tonight? Do you understand? Simple things that everyone does, probably just unconsciously.
And is there something that to this day you find very strange, that some very strange phenomenon or event happened where you said, I still can't explain this to this day? Can you think of something like that?
That I can't explain. Out-of-body experiences? But I do realize that I really didn't want to be in this world.
So just think about how much you didn't want it, to the point where you brought on that kind of state yourself, one that literally wants to take you.
But back then it was very scary, because you don't know what's happening at the time. Looking back now, I can explain it to myself. But for me, there is a deep awareness. Even when you invited me, I wasn't surprised. I just said, yes, great, let's do it. But a few days ago, I even wrote to Valeto then. Literally, my thoughts started flowing back 20 years, gathered in 30 sentences.
What was in those 30 sentences?
A global introspection of the growth of my soul, which is minimal for what is about to happen. But somehow it was like a summary, like closing a cycle, and now it's coming out. You know, that's how I feel.
Isn't it strange that exactly a year ago you had surgery which also changed your reality quite a bit? Isn't it strange that today is exactly this day?
Don't you know what this confirmation is that I'm on my path? Because exactly 1 year ago I was lying in Pirogov with a life-threatening condition. Literally, where they told me stop and change the course, change the direction.
These are those signals.
Yes, I was immobilized for 2 months. My life stopped. Meditations and music, that's what got me out of this situation. I did this for hours every day. Back then, I slept just 4 hours a night and kissed my children as they slept. I was running at full speed because I'm very resilient. I can handle anything. I'm very strong-willed. Everything has its limits.
Even the strongest need recovery and rest.
Yes, and when you don't sense the moment when you need to give it to yourself, there are forces that give it to you willingly or not. That's it. And if we are wise enough, if we have the foresight to understand why a certain situation is happening to us, we can change direction and literally change reality.
Being yourself is a strange thing. You chase it your whole life, and it keeps slipping away from you. That's exactly why we created our membership. To create a space where more and more people who in some way feel strange and out of place, until this becomes natural, to gather more, to share our knowledge and experience in a common space on our website INRA. BG in our membership section inside, with books, with audio meditations, with guided meditations, with webinars, online meetings with all of you every month on different topics. And most of all, with great passion and enthusiasm to keep exploring reality and its endless layers. Join our membership. Explain your relationship with Archangel Mihailo.
Subscribe.
As you see it, as you feel it, that's it. Our audience is prepared. They know that there is channeling. They know that all kinds of connections exist. You can say it the way you feel it. How is this connection for you?
Warm.
Warm?
Warm. You feel it as protection, warmth, like wings wrapping around you.
How did you know it was exactly this thought?
It came as a thought. Even I sometimes, because I really love running, and quite often while running, it appears running works for me like a dynamic meditation. I switch off, and if I have a question, I let it go. Akasha, or whoever wants to call it that. And it comes, but through it as a presence. Sometimes it appears as an image, but you feel it. I can't explain it.
Yes, me. I'm very interested in observing this connection with the information field in different guests. And with you, it's very interesting too, because there's actually no need for explanation either. It's simply the way it is.
It's very nice.
And
Now it's nice.
yes, it's very interesting. Because you really lose track of time, you lose track of what you set out to do during the day, and you just exist. That's what Cartolis says, the eternal now, yes.
And actually, that's life. There is no past, there is no future. Now, this moment, if we miss it, we're not living, we're here now. You feel it, you breathe it, you sense that you're alive.
How can people go back? Can we disconnect from people? How can we go back? The moment we feel that we're drifting away, we need to return to the present, because right now we're meant to be in the moment, in the present. We're at the table, it's dim around us, it's quiet, you're inside yourself, in your flow. But when you're stuck in traffic on the ring road, it's a different situation.
You know, subscribe. When I wanted to stop thinking, because the mind is constantly circling, 60,000 thoughts a day they pass by. And in most cases, they're almost identical. And I started asking myself one question. What is the next thought? Does silence and quiet come? And I tried to increase that silence.
Subscribe.
Do you realize it when you ask yourself, what is the next thought? In my head, there is an emptiness. I wanted to stay in it.
Yes.
And that somehow brings me back. But after that, I don't think about the next thought. Well, that's because she will come. But for me, that was a moment of disconnect. Little by little, I started to close my eyes, to quiet down, to be silent. I really love silence. For normal people, we are all normal, but for people, just yes. Maybe to find things that truly make them feel good.
But truly not in the way you thought something would make you feel good. Yes.
These are beliefs that, because others do it, because it's accepted, because it's trendy. No, just quieting down in your own self. Even often, if we can manage to go back to our childhood at 3 years old, 4. What made me feel good? What was I doing then that was really nice? Because children act according to their intuition. They don't do things just because you told them to. They might even do the opposite. And then thinking back, I used to sing a lot. I used to run. I used to act at home, pretending to be different characters.
Which is a really cool reference.
It's unique. I actually apply this now in yoga practices with children. I stimulate their imagination because it will help them later on. And actually, going back to your childhood years, to remember what made you feel good. You can even do it now because it's authentic, it's still alive there. Back then, I used to sing, and now I feel that music brings me the same satisfaction.
What kind of music do you listen to now?
Now, what operas can I listen to? I feel. Sometimes I imagine that I'm training in the gym alone. I really love the mornings when it's very early now, sometimes at home now. What time do you get up? 5, 6, 6 is late even. Yes, on weekends, but only early since we can't skip breakfast or getting the kids ready. And yes, I used to work out and sing something. If I feel that I'm not feeling well, one workout brings me right back. Just to do things that their soul truly desires.
Here comes a logical question that I just have to ask you. How does a person know what it is that their soul wants? Category: if they have already realized that they are creating their own beliefs, and they should know what it is that their soul wants, and not say that they don't know what they want. Even if we leave aside how a person understands what is simply for them, simply, it's him.
There are things that you feel are yours. You feel that it attracts you, it makes you feel good. But there also need to be actions. You shouldn't be afraid to try, to dive into it. Even if you don't know what makes you feel good, just try. Right now, I'm doing this with my oldest son. He's taking bagpipe lessons. He goes to taekwondo, soccer, and drawing lessons, and he enjoys all of them. I know that he can't be equally good at all 4 of these activities, but I've given him the chance to try them so he can choose. If a middle-aged person is so lost that they don't know what their thing is, they just need to try and take the leap.
Even when trying, I suggest they attempt as many things as possible. Even if it's just for a day, 2, 3, a week, 3 weeks, a weekend, wherever, with whoever, just until they get that wheel turning, that mechanism of action.
Yes, because if it's not real, it will fall away on its own. They'll start doing it without desire, even if they do it at first for a week, 2, 3, a month, a year. To fool themselves that it's theirs, sooner or later they'll end it, because it's not really theirs. And then they get to the answer. For some, the path is shorter, for others, it's longer. But actions are a very important part, even if everything starts first with the thought. Action is an inevitable part for anything to happen. Thank you.
Lately, I've also been learning to take a breath.
Yes.
Because even in the quietest, most pleasant places, a person can still start to rush. And at one point I said to myself, Budhe, where are you rushing to? Why are you rushing? Even in my book, I have a part like that dedicated to Anna. We rush, and at some point it happens everywhere. We go to warm destinations, liquid destinations, with cheap flights, just to get to the center of these cities. To see the Chinese, how they take pictures with new sneakers, cameras, new sunglasses, selfie sticks, and now that's everywhere. Fast food, quick loans, fast deliveries, and why are we in such a hurry? Well, spread out like a network.
And you accidentally get caught up in it.
Actually, you're giving me a very, very good example. And again, let's think about the fact that hurrying and moving are 2 very different concepts. Yes, I just reminded myself of that in a very interesting way. I made a connection. To hurry and to constantly move, to be active, are completely different things. And we think that in order to move, that is, to do a lot of things, we have to hurry. There's no other way to catch up with time.
But it's actually the opposite. And then somehow the universe arranges it in a very interesting way. Everything connects with everything else so that the next thing can happen. And it's like it's coming from you. You just need to keep moving.
Not to stop. To dance?
To dance with ease.
With ease.
I'm learning this. I'm learning. I've just built such a character.
Has there been a person in your life who has been like a teacher, like someone who guided you somewhere at a certain point? Who are your teachers, but here not as authors whom you haven't met?
When I was very little, I lived with the belief that I didn't have any friends. There was one girl, Katya Dum, that's what I remember, and that I didn't have friends. Later on, as I changed myself, people appeared who show up at the right moment. They say 2 sentences to you, and they bring you back. I can count my friends on one hand. Unfortunately, some of them are abroad, but that doesn't matter. I see them very rarely, but I know they're there. Recently, I was going through a tough time personally, and I called my friend Victoria. She's a psychotherapist and has been working for 20 years. I don't even know anymore. We've been friends since childhood and used to sing together. About her, I said, help me. I didn't even know how to ask for help, to be honest.
That you need something different.
She told me something very wise: distance yourself emotionally, so you can look at the situation from the outside as an observer. God, that helped me so much. And not just for this situation, but for every situation in life in which we have the habit of getting emotionally involved and losing connection with the field because you act under the influence of emotions. When I can emotionally distance myself from this situation, whatever it is, I can look at it as an observer and feel it, but not under the influence of emotion.
Yes.
Yes, I have such people in my life, not many, but they are there.
What do you think is the difference? Not to give in to emotion in this way and to do things from the heart? Sometimes I wonder,
When you're under the influence of emotion, you rush. And when you're in your heart, you feel. When I've been very emotional in a situation, I can even say things that I don't mean. I don't feel they're right, but the emotion in the moment provokes me to say them. But actually, that doesn't come from my heart.
yes,
And when I calm down, I'll react in a completely different way. Reactions and actions are completely different if we're talking about emotions in a negative aspect.
yes. It's very interesting. It's good to be aware of this, to give ourselves the necessary pause so we can reflect on it. Because in this way, as long as we don't stop to give ourselves a pause, we keep on reprogramming ourselves. It flows constantly like a river. If you don't realize that what's more sour, ugly, and unripe in the summer can't become sweet, the wine or the drink just stays sour. It's a lot in that sense. Do you think words are changeable? I mean, some people say we should clean up our vocabulary, meaning we should use positive affirmations, positive words, and be careful with what we say. On the other hand, there are people who say this is the way I express myself better. For example, they speak in slang or say things like, hey man, you know it has to be like this, right? They say, I understand what you're telling me, but it's hard for me not to find it difficult. However, I prefer to express myself this way because this is my more authentic version, but I don't say it in a way that limits me. I realize that this is how I say it. What about you? Take this with you.
What he says is his more authentic version. The moment he says it, he becomes that authentic version.
Here's the paradox. See, this is the addition. Thank you.
For saying it exactly like that, meaning what we believe in, that's what we become. If I say that I was expressing myself like a dude and like, wow, I become a dude, right? Well, I choose that I don't want to. It's not like that, it is like that, it absolutely is. He has decided to believe in that conviction and to create his own version, which is easier for him to create. Maybe because it used to be like that before.
It was, with such an environment.
He has become this and he believes that he is this. It's very simple.
Yes, we really make it complicated. Yes.
Look, the process is, I don't know for you how long it lasted, how it was.
It's still going on.
It's still going on. It's a process.
A process, a marathon, yes, a marathon.
A long marathon, yes, and it doesn't have a goal, it has a path. Subscribe, and if we let go of the reins for a moment.
I think there was such a line in Buddhism, and now I'm pulling it from the information field. Find purpose in purposelessness, yes. If you find purpose in purposelessness, from there you reach nirvana, that is. You reach this weightlessness of peace, of balance, of presence, of not attaching to anything, of awareness, true awareness. Yes, about how things are. What is your favorite book to this day, besides your own, as an author? That doesn't count?
You know, out of all of them, or the book.
The one that made the biggest impact on the change, it's...
Me, I started with the subconscious. Anything is possible.
Archetypal classic.
When I realized that
There's
no difference between subconscious and conscious. Libertarian awareness. Then the secret, the power of gratitude. The monk who sold his Ferrari. Say yes.
Yes, Yes by Robin Sharma.
There's-
There is a very interesting book. It is called one of his favorites, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. You just imagine that you're there with the person who's traveling. And I think that part of the big aspect of Robin Sharma is the fact that he has simplified a lot of generally complex concepts to a very simple language of a character who travels, and you just learn through him, and that's a lot. It has helped me a lot. Around 5 in the morning. Of course, the classic when I started getting up for the first time in my life. 5 o'clock to explore, to see this Julian, who is his character. How is Mr. Riley? Actually, it's at 5 in the morning. Anyway, and yes, how important is it in today's fast-paced world which we're talking about to find time to read?
It's essential. If I have to set it, it has to be in the schedule. It just has to be in the schedule, just like sports. If we wait to find time for it someday, it won't happen because we're wired, let's say, to chase schedules. And if something isn't on my list there, that I have 1 hour that's just for me. Whether I'll read a book or meditate and read 3 pages, it could be just 3 pages. It's not necessary to sit down and say, most people say I don't have time. No, we all have 24 hours. We have priorities in those 24 hours that we need to fulfill, that we want to fulfill. If you don't read, then that's your priority.
It's just not important to you.
I'm not important to you. For me, reading is an open door, not a door. I don't know what to call it. It's a window to that knowledge that helps me live better, and in turn helps the people around me to be better, which is very important. Through the person I am becoming.
Yes, to make it so that the others are. That's it?
That's the meaning. That's even the meaning. By changing yourself to help change the people you touch, which is what you are doing right now.
Yes, a long road, a beautiful road like a beautiful mind. A movie in which Russell Crowe is still young, and I recommend everyone to watch it again. Great, it is. It's wonderful. That's what I want to ask you about the dream. How many hours do you sleep a day? Do you break those myths about 8 or 10 hours? Or are 4 or 5 enough for you and you're good to go?
I've slept as little as 3 hours. Yes. There were times when I didn't feel well, but back then I was taking care of my baby around the clock. She wouldn't sleep, and that's how it was. But I wouldn't say you have to sleep for 8 hours. That's not it. Everyone resets in a different amount of time. Sometimes, when I have very few hours of sleep and I have an important trip coming up, I can't go to bed early. I literally program my mind to get enough rest in 5 hours. I don't have another option. I have to get up after 5 hours and be fully recovered. And it happens that way, whether I sleep 5, 6, or 8 hours.
It's important to be flexible, in my opinion, like with everything, and to be adaptable. Because if you know your body and who you are, you'll play one card in one situation and a different one in another, and that's fine.
Adaptability according to the level of workload, according to...
But...
Honestly, I was amazed at first when I started experimenting with it on myself. I go to bed at night and say, now I'll get some sleep, I'll wake up at 5. But I've gone to bed at midnight because I've been cleaning, cooking something, and I don't have any more hours to sleep. And the next day I have to travel to Sofia, but a long day awaits me and I want to recover in 5 hours and then have a wonderful day. And that's exactly what happens. And it happens. I tell myself this day will be the best day. And we're programming it right now. Every day may bring some challenges, but I expect it to be wonderful.
To be wonderful.
Whatever it brings. Even if there is some challenge, it will still teach me something. It will still be some kind of experience.
And you sound very liberated.
Yes. We are directors, screenwriters, actors, everything, a global spectacle. Yes.
That's right. And it's very nice that someone like you realizes it and stands up and says it from your position, because you probably realize it. But let me remind you that you have a huge audience in front of you.
Jeannie, who follows you and has the opportunity to really hear and understand what we're talking about today.
And these ladies, I'm sure, wonderful, also have families. Yes, some of them are about to have families. They're about to become the woman of the house, right? And the person who becomes an example for entire generations. So this is important. Tell me, please, about this whole global awakening that's happening, that has happened to you as well. This realization, what we talked about when we met for the first time, our meeting, how do you see it? Do you think more people are waking up right now, that new times are coming? What kind of times do you think are coming? Here.
A time of awakening, of remembering, of recalling. More and more people are waking up, I can see that. Yes, if you look at the majority, it doesn't seem that way, but the process has started. As soon as an awakened person influences the people around them, they influence a large group of people. You know that. You know, I always judge by personal example.
Yes.
If I was there and now I'm here, that means anyone can do it. I'm not more special than anyone else. We are all one. And more people like you, like all of you, are starting to talk about these things. And we are lucky to be in such an era of telecommunications, with information so easily accessible. This is a gift so that it can reach more and more people, so more and more can awaken others. And in this way we multiply.
And actually, this carries a lot of energy with it. This sometimes brings challenges with it, because you won't be heard right away, you won't be understood right away. And you know what I've realized lately? It's not necessary, man, it's not needed. Yeah, it's not needed. Whoever needs it will get it.
It will reach the right person at the right moment. Whoever is ready to hear it at that time, it will reach them. That's exactly the challenge. Yes, in this time, right at this moment, now.
Because it had to happen now, and now the person is ready to receive this information.
Thank you to the people around you, those who need your advice, who consult with you about everything. What are they most afraid of?
Of aging, of death, of to seem a certain way to others. This, if someone achieves their goals, there's a fear of losing what they've accomplished. Aha. Of diseases, right? If we're talking globally. So yes, you know, on a large scale. And what happens? The television broadcasts, it contributes. I haven't watched television since I was 18. I haven't watched television for 20 years. And it's just very important what we feed our brain with, as we have a saying that inside us there is a white wolf and a black wolf. It's up to us which one we feed.
Yes.
What kind of people we surround ourselves with, what words we say. There are so many things.
They are many, yet they are simple.
Yes, but fear is a tool of the brain to keep us alive but not happy. Isn't that right?
That's cool, yes.
That's true, and that's why I suffered from a lot of fears.
And how important is it, even if we're afraid of something right now, to realize it and start talking about it, to start sharing that it's like that so we can change it, so we can shift gears.
That's right. The first step is to admit it, to admit that I'm afraid of something, but not to reinforce it with words, not to tell it to 50 people. What am I afraid of? Because if I keep being afraid, I'll just create another reality where I'm still afraid. It's again about how careful the process is so you can share it in order to let it out of yourself. But actually, you need to do the opposite, to create a new reality where you're not afraid of that thing.
By starting to say,
No, that I'm not. Actually, I don't like words like I'm not afraid. Rather, the positive thing is that you don't give energy to fear. You don't feed it with thoughts. You divert your attention. When I was afraid, I was a hypochondriac at 20 years old, when I used to have terrifying nightmares, and the whole world seemed hostile in my eyes. I was scared and thought every day that I was sick with something.
and what happened then?
You feel bad?
More people appear who talk about hospitals.
Symptoms appear.
Suddenly more viruses, flus and symptoms, it's everywhere.
I literally materialized it in my body without realizing it. And when this transformation begins, it flows through you on every level, for every aspect of your life. Not only will I not transform the fact that I need to be more positive and not think about illnesses. No, you transform yourself completely and just direct your attention in another direction so that your mind forgets what it was afraid of. Exactly in the opposite direction. I even went beyond the fear. Okay, so what will happen?
Ready?
What will happen? Yesterday, I had an interesting conversation with one of my clients. Yes, I'll say patient, but yes.
If she's a patient, confidentiality applies, but since you shared it, that doesn't count.
Yes. And she said, yes, I'm worried about what people will say.
Like that already.
Yes. And I asked myself, what will happen if they say that? What will happen?
Yes, really, what will actually happen?
What will happen if people say you are this or that, you did this, but you didn't? She stood, looked, and said nothing. They will have just said something, and if she doesn't pay attention to it, it will die. Because she doesn't give it her energy.
We actually give it more energy. By thinking about it, thinking about what might happen, than when it actually happens in reality. When such a situation happens, you usually, are forced to act and you just have to deal with it. By then, whatever happened has already occurred, and most thoughts focus on what came before.
Yeah, and it might not even happen.
That's a paradox.
Todo, it might not even happen, even that.
It happened more widely.
Yes, and actually you've lost energy, time, and resources that you could have invested in something right now to create something.
That's good. I really need to remind myself of that, and thank you for reminding us today, both me and our audience.
Thank you.
That's valuable. Actually, they call you, well, not call you, but you deserve this. The fitness queen of the world. Can you say Otto? Why Otto?
When I gave birth to my first child in 2018, I decided that I wanted to see the potential of my body, what I could achieve. I challenged myself. I breastfed nonstop for a year and a half, barely sleeping, getting just 2 or 3 hours a night. Basically, my daily life was like any normal woman taking care of her baby at home.
Yes.
That's when I decided to create Fitmama, to start writing my first book, and to begin studying at Fitness Academy, Bulgaria. I created some challenges for myself to take me out of the reality I was living in. I mean, they wouldn't literally take me out, but mentally, yes. It was very important for me to preserve my mind so that I wouldn't sink into another reality. And then I told myself, I'll find a coach to train me. I want to become a competitor.
A competitor?
Yes,
What kind of competitor?
bodybuilding, bikini, fitness. My coach appeared, my first coach, Kirill Tanev, and we started working together for half a year. We worked so well together that we went to Verona and I came in first. I became a European champion. But along the way, I wanted it with all my heart. You know, when two forces unite, two energies focused on one thing, they're not two anymore. It becomes an avalanche. We were just like that. Here, the coach-athlete relationship is crucial.
Yes, the coach-athlete relationship.
The coach-athlete relationship. And we joined forces and did it. That was our goal. There I won the pro card, became a professional athlete, and had the opportunity to represent Bulgaria at the World Championship. In the Bahamas, where there were 40 girls from all over the world, the entire elite gathered there. That was our goal, to go there and be among them.
To be there, the very success of just being there.
First, yes, exactly, to get there. I did it, Kirill prepared me, my form was flawless, a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears were shed in the gym. The workouts are brutal, but I like the journey. There's a bit of sadomasochism here, but you know you have this driving force inside and you want to reach it. Yes.
You pursue what you're looking for.
What happened 2 weeks before the World Championship? Kirill had quite a few problems back then and couldn't come with me to the World Championship.
But despite that, you still went.
I couldn't imagine not going. I had incredible support around me, sponsors, all of Bulgaria. People knew that I was going to the World Championship. I had been preparing for this place for many months, and there was no way I could let down either the people around me or myself. Me too. I traveled nearly 10,000 kilometers alone, dehydrated, with huge luggage. My food for several days ahead was frozen in bags in my suitcase, and I got lost at the airport in Frankfurt, the biggest airport. Yes, I wandered around for 2 hours, Edka.
You get lost, time is passing.
I'm losing. I had 4 hours until the flight.
Wow.
2 hours, during which I was waiting the whole time and I passed. Checked in. No.
Yes.
And 2 hours, I don't know how those 2 hours passed. I just remember that I was running, wandering around, asking everyone I saw. They tell me to go one way, but I go in another, completely lost. The police stopped me. I had this leather thing here with a bullet. They stopped me because I have a bullet on me. Checks, what's this bullet at the airport? Super ridiculous things happen, you know?
Resistances.
Resistances. But I don't stop, I tell myself. There's no way I'm going to miss out, right? The plane that's flying across the ocean, I have to get to Miami and from there catch another plane to get to the Bahamas. And by then I was totally super thirsty, you know? I remember I was really dehydrated, on the verge of fainting. I felt really bad, but I stayed on the plane until the very end. I meet a man who for me was...
Or he meets...
You or he meets me, an angel in human form. I was just completely alone, but he showed up and asked me. He spoke English. He said, "Why are you standing there worried? Why are you in such a hurry?" I stopped as I was chasing the plane. I stopped and listened to what he was saying, but I said, "I'm missing my flight to Miami. I'm going to a competition that I've been preparing for months and I can't let myself miss it." He looked at me and said, "I'm going to see my sick parents, whom I don't know if I'll ever see again." At that moment,
What did you say to yourself at that moment?
time stops and I say to myself, where am I rushing to?
Where are you going? Yeah.
And in the next moment, the person disappears. I remember stepping over the threshold of the plane. They were already waving.
Yes.
They just said, "Anita, Markova." I said yes. I asked for water. They gave me water. I sat down and just stayed like that, not knowing what was happening. I'm going there. You see everyone super happy, joyful. It's like the whole world, my dream is coming true, and I'm alone. You understand what it's like at the top?
And there's no one there.
And there's no one there, and I'm a soldier, a soldier. Yes, eventually they were against it again. I get food poisoning the day before the competition.
With some local food, old.
It was just too much. Thank you, we managed to patch things up. Despite everything, on the day of the competition, I went out and decided to shine. No one had the slightest idea what had happened, what was happening, or how I felt. I went out there no matter what would happen. I knew I was there and I had to give my best, the best I was capable of at that moment. Yes, for a long time. At one point, I found myself in a sort of standoff between the States and Australia. They were in the top 3. I mean, I know I was there and I gave my best. That was my personal victory too. I just didn't give up.
That's a victory worth telling and talking about.
Don't, I didn't blame myself, no. I know that Jayu was coming there, the air despite which many eyes were on me. I know very well how hard it was, but I know that it made me the person I am today.
When you returned and got off the plane in Bulgaria, what was the first thing you thought of?
I just thanked God that I made it back, that was it. I just wanted to get home alive and well, nothing else mattered. And I know that I didn't give up. I wanted to inform her.
Yes.
Because at that point you're extremely dehydrated, you haven't eaten for months, nothing brings you pleasure, and that's it. I remember that I wanted to eat 2 pastries and to hug my parents, my husband and my children. And so...
Subscribe.
A very present meeting today, a fun meeting.
That's how I came.
Before we finish, at the end we always ask questions. The idea is that you did very well the whole time without even knowing that this was the game.
But the idea is if you can answer each question with 1 sentence.
Okay.
From everything you know and have experienced, where does it come from? The measured ones?
We come from the light.
But where are we headed? To the light. What's the best advice you've ever been given?
Give yourself time.
My father said, I'm coming to my father again. First, the reason my father said, listen, what the others are telling you, but listen to yourself, explore yourself. Many people can give you advice, but the decision you have to make is yours.
To June. And what is the worst advice you've ever been given?
That being rich is bad. That rich people are bad. That they suffer. They have money, but they're not happy. See, on the other hand, you understand what he told you. Someone's conviction. Someone who probably doesn't have that much opportunity and who thinks that people who have abundance in their lives are somehow bad or that money is something bad.
Okay, very, very, very cool. I really like the answer.
From that, I was thinking more about how to present it to you.
What is abundance?
I hold on, I hold. Abundance is to be in the flow. I was.
What is flow? Abundance?
I also like talking to you today.
What is it like to feel?
To breathe.
And what is it like to breathe, to feel? Okay, and while we're in this vibration,
If you have the chance now, and you do,
to deliver a single message to everyone who has listened to us so far, who has watched us so far, who has immersed themselves in your story so far, especially in the excitement with which you tell it and the emotion and confirmation of the confidence you carry. If you have this opportunity to leave them a message now, one that will stay in their minds, that will be remembered,
I want each and every one.
what would you tell them?
I want every single person who hears this conversation between us, because we are creating it together, to believe that they are the creator of their own reality, and that they have the power to achieve absolutely anything they dream of. We are limitless in everything. Every single person has the power to create the life of their dreams.
Anita, bow.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you for the opportunity to be here and for the chance for Anita to come out into the public space and speak what is inside her. Thank you.
I thank you